So again, we go back to our purpose. We're going to transport the audience away from the theater in mind and spirit. I have a list of questions that I ask myself when I'm designing a show. And though I hesitate to read slides during my presentations, these are the questions that I like to ask myself and or my production team when we're discussing how a show is going to look and sound. Because they need to look the same as they sound, usually. Otherwise, we'll have construction noises over huts, over water. Where does the event take place? What would we like it to sound like? When does the show take place? Now, when is important because it could be, if this is old-timey movie time, you have a totally different set of speakers that you may want to use. Or let's say you're doing a scene that's in an old-time movie theater. The speakers there are going to be different than the speakers we have in today's movie theaters. Or if they're listening to radio, for example, Anything Goes. That starts with a shot on the radio, and it's got the orchestra playing, and add a little bit of scratchiness to it because they're supposedly playing a record from the radio station, and then you segue or crossfade into the grand orchestra. So when does it take place? How do you want to cover that? What sounds would we hear if we were in that time and place? Same thing. If you're designing an event like this class, this session, what would it sound like? Remember when we were quiet and we listened to the room around us? Well, that's what it would sound like. Are you watching this class from a coffee shop with earbuds? Well, what does the rest of the coffee shop sound like? I hope they have good Wi-Fi. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Now, I have some favorite books that I like to use, and I'm going to show you an old illustration from Dina Kaye's book, which is Sound and Music for the Theater, which is the third edition here. Now has a co-author, James Lebrecht, and this is the illustration from the old first or second edition. I don't remember which one. And we see here that they use a cassette deck. We would use a stereo, or not a stereo, but we would use a computer. They use a home stereo amplifier. I guess this was for off-Broadway size theaters. It's very possible. And then we have left and right out, okay, to a speaker switcher, maybe an AB switch, but maybe a splitter. And this speaker could be inside the TV that's on stage, and so on. If we look at their larger layout, it's a little bit more modern. And now we're looking at a theater layout where we have a mixer, we have hard disks, again computers, microphones, we have a reverberation unit using the effects in and out. We've got a bunch of speakers from different outputs to different places on stage, and subwoofers, and then the proscenium speakers right there. So it's another set of layouts. I'm going to pause this and we're going to switch gears. I'm going to show you some of the other books that I like to use when I'm teaching sound design and or sound technology, the physics of sound and such.